And 3, 2, 1. Red. Look at that. It's red. Red, orange, red, green.
Boom.
We're live.
There we go. I just got the.
We are live.
We're
live.
live.
Live on
watch it
YouTube.
On my side too.
I need to put it on my phone. Let me put it on my cell phone because I found trying to monitor this on YouTube on the dashboard doesn't work.
Yeah, it's impossible. Yeah, it doesn't work right. Yeah, I have the same issues. I like what I do is I basically pop out the. Watch this video. Yeah, all right, man. What I generally do is I pop out the little video chat, so at least I can see what's happening. This is blowing up. My phone keeps blowing up with the.
Oh man, look at your video is like getting smaller and smaller. This is so bizarre.
Holy
there you are.
What's happening? Oh,
yeah, you're disappearing. This is what happened before. Is that the?
Help me!
All right, let me try to fix this because this is so bizarre. Everybody's really gonna appreciate this. Anybody who's on is gonna say, "Hey, this is really funny." Got 7 people in right now.
It's weird.
Drink me and grow big.
I don't see us live.
What does that say? Drink me and grow big. Yeah, see what happens? Exactly. That's what happens. Tonight's the weird night again.
This is weird, Jeff, because I don't.
I'm gonna try to fix it. I'm gonna try to fix it. Okay.
It's weird.
I'm gonna try to fix it without losing any.
Look at it.
Oh man, you know what? You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna get rid of the. I'm gonna get rid of my crop adjustment, and I think the crop is probably what did it. Now you're like extra large. But everybody's really gonna appreciate this. This is gonna be.
Well, I like the background though.
Thank you. Let me just shrink you down.
I'm like a sliver, the one on the lag one. I'm a sliver.
That's all right.
I'm like this.
Yeah.
You know. It's like,
you're losing weight. Losing a little weight there.
Big time.
All right, here.
A little
Boom.
bit.
Look at that. Now it's good.
Now
it got you in there and everything. Yep, I figured it out. It's because I cropped it, and apparently Skype doesn't like when you crop the image. I like it personally. There you go. Look at that. See that?
There you go.
A little bit of a delay.
Cool.
Hey, cheers.
That's good, man. I say Annalise.
Hey, cheers to.
Hey, man, cheers. Let's do a virtual. Let's do a virtual
cheers. There we go. Boom, boom. There we go.
There we go. Click glasses. Nice. Click the glasses.
Dang, look at that. All right. So let's see who's on. Let me pop out that window and try to acknowledge a few people that are here. Probably the thing to do. At this point, we got some Chinese bamboo, so that's a good start. Always like Chinese bamboo. All right. Let me let that warm up here. There it is. All right, cool. All right, so tonight we're going to have a great talk. We're going to talk a little bit about the Token Taxonomy Act, except we're going to do it on the rocks. So I think it's a real good starting point. I want to just acknowledge a few people that popped in here. So far, we've got XRP Minute. We got Chip with us tonight, so we're going to have a great talk. And let's see. Let me go down. XRP Carolina, Dansky, Abid Hussein, how you doing? Good to see you on. Rain. Trying to go down the list here. Annalise. All right. I'm not going to read through the whole list because that'll take, that won't be so much fun. But really glad that everybody's here, taking your Saturday night to join up with us. I'm sure as we go, people will join in. Moneybags, how you doing? Glad you joined in. So tonight, like I said, we're going to talk a little bit about the Token Taxonomy Act. We're going to drink a little whiskey, and we're going to have some fun. So if you guys who are on, if you want to go grab a drink real quick and join in with us, we'll sit around and wait. No.
Go ahead. Grab your favorite cocktail, whatever you like. Just grab it, bring it. I'm drinking a little bourbon. Jeff, you got the
bourbon, man. You know what I got? It's called Ainsley Bray.
Ainsley
Bray. Is
that an Irish?
No, this is Scottish. This is Royal Brackla Distillery. And if I could read what was written on the back, it tells the story of how it became the King William the Fourth. So that's kind of cool. That's all I can pick out on there. I don't want to try to read any more because I can't really see it. So I probably need your reading glasses to try to read the back of the Scotch bottle.
There you go.
So
there you go.
All right, awesome. So I had a great stream this morning. Started with a brief update on the Token Taxonomy Act. Didn't give a ton of info. We talked a little bit about the Fed. We talked about a lot of great things this morning. And now we have actually got a lot of great updates on the Token Taxonomy Act directly from Warren Davidson's office, and wanted to share with the community. And I thought the best way, why not, invite Chip on to do that with me. So looking forward to having a great chat tonight. Before we get started with this, I want to throw out, here's a question. It came in right at the end of the stream this morning from Jeff Rome. And this was a question for later that he had written to me. And his question was, your gut telling you that the Token Taxonomy Act will pass, and if it doesn't, what do you think the next move would be for the U.S. and crypto? So I think that's a real great question to start with. I'm not going to answer it right away, but I think we put that question up there. And as we go through the conversation tonight, we're going to answer that question. What do you think, Chip?
Yeah, I think it's spot on. I mean, it's funny when you start talking about your gut. Your gut wants you, our gut, the XRP community, right? So you're there, you're thinking, well, my gut's saying, yeah, we got to go all in. But then little bits and pieces about what's going on, in government. You kind of know that there's sort of a there really isn't a lot of legislation, or at least I would say legislation that's really bipartisan. I find that it's either partisan on one side or the other. The Dems want one thing, the Republicans want another thing, and I really feel like for the first time in really a long time, this is a true nonpartisan issue. I mean, think about it. It benefits. It's so vast in the benefits. From the unbanked, to figuring out exactly, in the community itself. And one of the points I think that you made in the video when we did that community video. The U.S. is really falling behind, and I see Asia just leading the way. They're like lighting it up. I talk about this on my streams, but they've got a torch, and they're lighting everything on fire. So it will be fun to get into and talk a little bit about and have sort of an open dialogue about it.
Yeah, that's awesome. And actually, as we go through the update that I got, that's going to really factor in to the entire conversation, because I think it has been identified, and even some of the comments that were given to me is that they want to do everything so that the U.S. doesn't fall any further behind, and that's kind of the message that's been sent directly to the FSC, to the Financial Services Committee in Congress, to really state that, hey, you know what, we can't wait around any longer. And so that's really important. So, maybe I should start right off by giving a little brief bill status update. I think that's, a great place to start, because one of the questions that I had asked was specifically, is the bill dead? Is it dead on arrival at the in committee? Because that happens. That's definitely something that's relevant. When you look at other bills, they just kind of die out in committee. So the longer it sits in committee without response, then the bigger chance it has of not really going anywhere. And we saw in January a couple of the digital asset or blockchain based, digital currency based bills did pass. And they passed in a very short period of time. From introduction to passing through committee, passing through Congress, took maybe 2 or 3 weeks. So that was definitely, and I know that's on everybody's mind. So number one, top of the list, the bill is not dead. There's definitely a lot of positive press within DC, within the circle of influence in Congress, that TTA, the Token Taxonomy Act, is real, that it's important, and it's really transcending all layers in DC and throughout, not just Congress, but really circulating, again, through the circle of influence. So this would be the larger firms, this would be the lobbyists, in the area, as well as members of Congress, but also right to their staff. So those with obviously the Congress, the representatives in Congress are important to the conversation, but those that work for the congressmen, congresswomen are also very important, because in many cases they're the ones that are bringing opinion to the representative in order to make decisions. So I think first and foremost, we really have to identify that. So let me see here. Let me look at some of the comments. I thought I saw a question here that I thought was important. Let me see.
Well, I saw this one, Jeff, real quick. I saw Mac 31400. It says, why doesn't Ripple just wine and dine the politicians, Well, it's probably not the way to go. I don't think Ripple has Ripple, obviously, the company, I think any company that's in what I think we'll get into too is that what I was really impressed to learn is the big corporations that are getting behind this, and if you can get into that a little bit, Jeff, I think that's pretty enlightening too. Some of the corporations that are actually behind this, but it's not like Ripple. Ripple's busy off doing, and I know it's said probably in fun, and that sounds like the easy that, hey, just take them out for a couple steak dinners, a little bit of lobster, maybe a few bottles of wine here and there, a good whiskey, a nice King Louis the 13th, something like that, just to get them off and running. But I do think that there is a lot of sponsorship. There's a lot of big corporations, pulling for this, or certainly behind the Token Taxonomy Act. And I guess the big feeling is, if you read through it, you know what's in it. We always know that with anything that goes into Congress, you usually have things that are added to it, and you have things that are removed from it, right? So you might have some other legislation piled on. It's very rare that something gets through committee without some little addition or tweak or something, right? I mean, what are your thoughts on that, Jeff?
Yeah, that's always the reality. So whenever a bill is presented, it's going to go to committee. Committee's going to look at it, and if they have concern with it, they're obviously going to request changes. So there's 3 different layers that the bill has to go through. You have the committee that it's presented in front of, where they might, they'll request changes. Then it could even go in front of, once it goes in front of Congress, I believe there's still the possibility that they say, look, we're not going to vote on this until you make changes. And so there's 2 layers. Once it passes Congress, now it gets thrown in front of Senate. So Senate now has an opportunity to make changes, throw it back to Congress or to the House for additional change, or to acknowledge the changes that the Senate made, or the Senate can just take and pass through whatever the House decided on, and then pass it or deny it, or if it passes, it goes straight up to the president. So there's definitely there'll definitely be changes, because when you have to appease all parties, and like you mentioned in the beginning, bipartisan in nature, the bill may contain, and actually, as we get through the conversation today, we're going to see that actually Maxine Waters, who's the chairwoman of the FSC, has requested 2 specific adjustments in how the bill is being presented before it goes through.
Yeah, and what I do like about it though is the House basically controls. It's really, they call it the purse strings, right? Everything that's financial in nature, as far as money being spent. Where the Senate I feel is going to be more oversight. They're going to take a look at it from probably a broader overview. And I do think that some changes will be made. What I hope doesn't happen is what was originally removed from the original. Let's say some tweaks happen, some things get removed, it gets passed, or at least comes out of committee, gets a full vote, ends up going to the Senate. And then what I'd be concerned about is too much monkeying around with it, right? So if they want to go ahead and say, well, wait a minute, we think this is important, and they start piling in some other things, because I kind of feel like at any given point, it's probably better to pass well, let's say we don't get the whole thing done. Like we know there are going to be some changes and tweaks, but it would be nice to get a good core part of it passed, at least that bit of it that passes through, the Senate, because, you can always add some stuff later. Now, will it happen? Well, it doesn't always happen, but I kind of feel like if there's too much, messing around with it and it starts ping-ponging back and forth, which also happens a lot, then that could hold it up as well.
Great, yeah.
So I'd like to see something streamlined, so keep it slim, keep it streamlined, and then I hope nothing else gets tacked onto it. I cannot stand when a bill gets passed, it comes out of the House, and then all of a sudden they put some irrelevant stuff in there, and then that becomes the issue versus what the real issue is, which is the token taxonomy, right? So that's also another possibility.
Yeah, so, I mean, to that point, my dog is moving my camera. How do you like that? My dog is sleeping underneath my camera tripod. And so this is going to be interesting to see if he moved. My image just shifted on the screen. I wonder if it's going to shift again. That's pretty funny. But anyhow, I think that's everything you're saying is spot on. Just real quick, because this is really important. Also, Dansky had mentioned here at MAC 314100 or 31400. He said Ripple has crypto lobby group, many members from all over the crypto universe. So that is true, and that's really one of the acknowledgments, is that there are organizations within blockchain, and there's large lobby organizations already. Obviously, there's companies out there within the blockchain space. Obviously, Ripple has employed a decent number of people. They have money to help financially support an outreach to Congress. But what's really important, and the reason why I continuously emphasize this, from the grassroots level, this is really where the congressional representatives are meant to make their decisions. So obviously, on the lobby side, that has a huge impact on what a congressperson does or doesn't do if they're beholden to the purse strings of that lobby entity. So if they need the money for their next election, and they're in that mindset where they really don't care about their district, Brad Sherman, then obviously you're going to make some decisions that are, based on incorrect fact, in order to support your lobby entity. Now, so really when it boils down to it, though, the louder we can voice our opinions, and I know for a fact that based on some of the groundswell that we were able to create and others out there were able to create, it really made a big impact on getting some of the Democrat congresspeople to actually sign on to the bill, to TTA, as a co-sponsor. So Gottheimer, Gabbard, I think is her name, Gabbard in Tulsi Gabbard in Hawaii. So she signed on. But those were two that, I know I'd sent out some tweets, and and many others had reached out to them via email and via the phone, and really voicing the importance of why they need to support TTA and get behind it. And sure enough, they actually got behind the TTA and co-sponsored it. So that means that from a grassroots perspective, things that we do, things that we talk about, do have an impact, regardless of whether or not the congressional representative is in our district or not. They want to hear from the people. Obviously, again, the corporations are going to have their outreach. We have to believe. Your image just like exploded large. That's kind of crazy. I'm gonna have to look and see what I can do to adjust that, and keep an eye on that. But Coinbase and others, obviously they have the money to support this thing, from their side. But that's really, there's two sides, two sides that are important. Let me just let me take my attention and just readjust your image. I don't know why this happens. If anybody has any idea of why, and I even have it locked down. If anyone has any idea of why OBS decides that they want to blow up the Skype image that's here, and my dog actually did move my he did move the camera. That's hilarious. Okay, let me just transition. There we go. All right, we're back. We're back in business over here. Yep. So, all right, let me go back to, there's tons of comments here. We got a lot of people, popping into the room. That, let's see here.
I just tweeted it out.
Okay, so great.
I hope some people. Yeah, guys, if you can tweet this out, let's get the community in here talking about this. This is important. you know, it's important in the XRP community, but I think the outreach has to go out to other communities. Some of us have some bleed over. I know Rob Cash talks about some other Rob Cash on
Rob
the
Cash
set.
is on the set.
Rob, you know, you talk about some other coins. He's on the set, man. And you know, I know you talk about other coins, but we basically gotta enroll everybody. It doesn't matter which community. You know, it's like the BTC maxis. I'm gonna reach out to one of my BTC maxi buddies and see if he can get some people over here in the U.S. And then if you know somebody in the district, even better. It's one thing if it comes from, you know, somebody tweets you and says whatever. Like, for example, I sent a tweet out to Darren Soto. He's not in our district. You know, Jeff and I are in the same district. You're actually in Broward County, right? You're in
23.
Broward.
Yeah, 23.
So, yeah, you're 23. I'm right above you in, you know, Palm Beach County, and then right above, you know, above that is where Soto's out of
Orlando,
Central Florida, Orlando area. So I just said, hey, you know, Godspeed. And it's kind of weird because he's not a freshman. He's not freshman, but I was kind of shocked at all the freshmen that ended up on the Financial Services Committee. Kind of came as a shock. Usually you generally will put people who have been around a little bit of time, you know, or spent some time, you know, and usually those committee spots are earned, right? You do something to get them. So I was kind of shocked there was a bunch of freshmen in there, you know, like Tulsi Gabbard, and
AOC,
yeah, and
Cortez.
Also,
how in the
AOC,
world?
AOC,
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense.
Cortez is on there. That was shocking. Yeah, I mean, it just seemed like, you know, just kind of a bizarre sort of a current, right? But bottom line is that, and I think because of Tulsi Gabbard's running for president, I think, you know, she's obviously I think her attention is going to be too focused right now on this gearing up and you know, for the run. So I don't think that. So you're right. I mean, Jeff, there's only really one person we really need to target, right, to really kind of pick this up and run with it.
That's correct. Yeah. So that's. I just want to say, Crypto Eddie is in the stream tonight. She does a phenomenal job. Her videos. I mean, she really digs deep in a lot of the research. And she's on the stream tonight listening in. So hope to see some input. That'd be outstanding. And Crypto Eddie actually participated in our last video. And so we want to be able to use the last video and start getting that out there as well. And I'm really hoping that we're putting a new a group together. We're expanding the group a little bit to help a little bit with production, content to the video. I'm hoping that we'll get the same team together to create a series of different videos that we can get out to help with some additional education in Congress.
Yeah, and one thing that I wanted to mention about Crypto Eddie is I think she did an amazing job with the handing Jeff Sherman. So Sherman, whose district is right outside of, I believe it's San Francisco, right?
District 30, San Fernando Valley.
San Fernando Valley, but he's very close. So I want you guys all to check out. I want you to Crypto Eddie. If you haven't seen it, it's a little bit different for the video she does, and she announces that at the very beginning. But what it is it's an open letter, and she meticulously goes through there and explains about the median jobs that are being created inside of the crypto industry, that it's way above the median income level. The fact that there's so much great stuff going on. And she asks him and to think about it differently. And of course, Sherman's his take on it was really he was really coming at it from a standpoint of like what we've heard. He's 10 years behind the curve, illicit drug money and all these other things. The fact that it's circumventing the U.S. dollar is as far as the petrodollar and all this. And really, I think a lot of it's unfounded. And it's to me. When any of those kind of education videos, that I would love you guys if you could retweet that video and put it out there. And if you even want to tag, Sherman in it, that'd be great, because I think it's really important. I think it was done in a really nice way. Everything was very well presented, and it wasn't presented in any condescending way or aggressive way. It was presented in a very factual and a pleading way, like, hey, really take a look at what's going on. And I don't know if you saw that video, Jeff. I loved it. I just thought it was just phenomenal. So Eddie, really great job on that. You killed it. You smashed it. You crushed it.
Yep.
I loved it.
Yeah, really appreciated that. You know what? Brad Sherman reminds me. What was the movie? The Shermanator. Who's the Shermanator?
The Shermanator. The Shermanator. I don't know, man. That might be a little bit too nice. Are you being a little too nice there? I don't know. I mean, maybe the Shermanator. The Shermanator. Yeah. He'll never
He's definitely the
forever known as
Shermanator.
the Shermanator. Oh my God.
Brad the Shermanator.
Yeah.
Oh my
So
God.
Moneybags says, I don't think Sherman wants to understand crypto. Well, you got to remember, a lot of times a lot of people in Congress, they're really kind of tuned out. It's just because they live in a bubble. They live in their own world. They basically, most of their travel time is between DC and their home district, right? They're in and out. They might, they're between offices. They're trying to get family time in. So I don't think there's a lot of time in there for other things. So I'm not necessarily sure if that's what it comes down to. Yeah, Mr. B XRP says, so the Chippinator.
Oh,
Dansky with the
what it was.
Chippinator.
The
Okay.
Chippinator. Hey, you know what?
The Holdinator.
The Holdinator. Mac 31400 was asking what committees we're talking about. It's on the FSC, the Financial Services Committee, and the Ways and Means Committee. And so that hopefully answers that. Glad Mr. B's on. That's awesome. Glad to see you on here. You were definitely instrumental in helping us pull the video together. That was fantastic. Really appreciate that. Crypto Eddie's saying, what's the next step? What can everybody do? Obviously, reaching out to the representatives. By the end of the video, we're going to lay out the plan, and I think that'll be super impactful. And so let me see here. It's always great. It's hard to kind of keep up with some of these as we're talking, and then try to go back through. So let me give a little bit more of an update on some of the info that we pulled out. So Maxine Waters, and as we look at the Financial Services Committee again, we have Warren Davidson. He's the primary behind the Token Taxonomy Act, and we'd mentioned that. Darren Soto is really the second on the Token Taxonomy Act. They were both instrumental in introducing it back in December, as they were introducing it this last time, and they were able to bring really a nice balance of Democrats and Republicans. So they had 3 Democrats, 3 Republicans that were putting the bill forward. Now, as the team really approached Maxine Waters about this, and consider Maxine Waters is really the gatekeeper of the Financial Services Committee. It's her decision as to whether or not a bill goes and gets to be voted on in committee. So if she doesn't like the bill, she's not going to allow it to be voted on. It's going to die. It's never going to pass. Now, that was really, the first stage of what they had to overcome. Now, what's great is that she has really addressed the Token Taxonomy Act as something that's important to be passed. She wants to give her stamp of approval on the bill, which is great. And so think about, again, if we consider her, she's kind of like the godfather of the FSC. So if she's requesting some changes, that means without those changes, there's no chance it's ever going to get through committee. So here's some specific changes that were required. And I think we need to discuss these because from my perspective, as we reach out to Gottheimer, as we reach out to Gabbard, and there's a number of people on this list, and kind of a process of who we need to reach out to first, second, and then, as we do a massive reach out. And that's why the videos are going to be so instrumental because of these 2 facts that we really don't want to be left out of the bill. Well, actually, it's one fact, and then the other one you'll see in a minute. But so Maxine Waters actually said that there's 2 conditions that she has in order to pass the TTA through committee. Number 1, she wants to remove the tax component out of the bill. And she said that the reason why she wants to remove the tax part out of the bill is because it's not in her jurisdiction as chairwoman of the FSC. Now, I started doing some digging, and hopefully there's others that might be able to participate in this. As I build this out, I'm going to reach back out to a couple of the congressional offices and find out where exactly then the any change in tax code, which committee the jurisdiction does fall under. You know, so that means that's where the bill needs to go. Now, it's sitting in Financial Services Committee and the Ways and Means. You just blew up again on the image, but I'll change your image in a minute. Your head blew up.
What's going on with my head? What's going on with my head today?
I don't know, man.
It's ridiculous.
And your brain is like out here. So, you know, so right now it's sitting in the two committees, and I'm not, you know, I'm not 100% sure if that's 100% an accurate statement or not. And maybe it's the Ways and Means Committee that needs to address it, you know, and if they do remove it out and pull that part out, that means it needs to be packaged in as its own bill and needs to be addressed to the right committee. But that's really concern number one. Concern number two is that they need a major Dem that's going to co-sponsor this bill. And that major Dem can't be Darren Soto because Darren Soto is not on the committee. So that means that the second to this bill has to be somebody from committee. And we just brought up, oh, look at that. You just almost went back to normal. It's doing it all by itself. I'm not doing anything to change your head size. It's just that OBS has a mind of its own tonight.
It's bizarre. Tonight, it's pretty often,
yeah,
really.
pretty much all the time. Yeah. So
it's always got a mind of its own. It's crazy.
So that's really where we're at, you know, in those two concerns. In order to get it through committee, number one, they want to remove the tax part. Number two, they need another major Dem that's going to work with Warren Davidson in order to pass this. And Chip, you were just mentioning it. Really, it's the focus is narrow. There's only really one person that can qualify as that other major Dem, and he's the person that we need to put our attention on.
Yeah, and so we got one shot. There's a chance. You're saying there's a chance. There's a really good chance here that we can go ahead and that's why I say if we can, if you do what's necessary to get this thing passed. I mean, all of us, right? It's a community, and really it's a bigger call out, right? This time, last time it was within our community, but I also think that big players and you know the BTC community. There's a whole bunch of them, and Litecoin and you know, you got guys like, you know, Bitcoin Ben, and there's the Mad Hatters on the BTC side. There's some other folks out there, but you know, if we can get the word across over, and that's really the real unity, right? Because we're the XRP community, and we're loving and we're giving, but I think it's bigger than that. I think the mission's a bigger call than that because this benefits all of us, and we all get to win together, you know. And so I feel like we got to sort of reach out, put that olive branch out there, like, hey, you know, this is what we need. Can you jump in? Can you go ahead and make and help out? So I think everybody sort of probably knows somebody that's that may have one foot in the XRP community and maybe in another alt community with some other altcoins. And those are the people that can really help out, right? Because they have kind of a standing in both sides or multiple sides. And not to say that we couldn't get it done alone, but I just feel like this is where the rubber hits the road. We've got to make this happen. We've got to do this together as a community. So being effective and reaching out and doing the tweets and, you know, coming together on the video side, I think is going to be huge. Yeah, Jay Vaught just liked it. My phone keeps blowing up with the alerts,
nice.
Which is great because I'm actually on my phone right now, so I just can continue to see those going back and forth.
Yeah, I wish I didn't get a chance to add that software so we could blast it out on Periscope at the same time. I promise I'm going to get that loaded up by tomorrow. So Dansky says here, Congress needs to understand crypto will save business and people and money time. It'll be a tech boom in the economy and worldwide. So when we get down to it and what our outreach needs to be, you know, as we did with the first video, we need a significant outreach. There you go. Your head's blowing up again. But we need a significant outreach, you know, to Congress. But our primary focus is going to be Gottheimer. So let me just quickly go through. There was something I wanted to pause and comment on something, and now I have no idea what that was. So anyhow, let me. This is great. Let me pull this back up. So we have so removing the tax component is going to be very destructive to the overall. You know, I think it's something that's needed. You know, and right now, obviously on the Dem side, the fact that Maxine Waters wants to remove it, and we're only talking about a trade with a realized gain of around $600, per transaction. So I'm trying to figure out exactly, what their issue would be, other than her saying that it's not within her jurisdiction, and maybe that's the case. But do you think there's any other ulterior motive as to why they would want to take out the tax component?
Yeah, I mean, I have a couple, I guess gut feelings about why they might. But if you think about it, like the Ways Committee, the financial meet. When you think about that, that's really all they do. I mean, that's what the House is responsible for, right? So I kind of feel like maybe what she's alluding to is the fact that with regard to this particular bill, right? The token taxonomy. I kind of feel like maybe what she's alluding to is that she doesn't want it to become a debate about taxes, and so she may just be stripping it from that, because I do feel like that may be the one area where there's going to be sides drawn, right? There's going to be a left and a right type of a side. So it might be but if you think about it, I mean, where does anything financial originate? It originates in the House. So they're responsible for the purse strings. They're responsible for spending. So yeah, she may have a point, and maybe she's kind of looking through to see that they could put this legislation through, because it may get added, and maybe it's better if it gets added later. Like, let's say it ends up, comes out of committee, goes to a full vote, goes on to the Senate, and maybe they go ahead and they craft something, or they add something back in, or they tweak it. So and like, I kind of feel like, well, that's great. We might not get everything we want, but we've been waiting with bated breath. I mean, we've just been like, regulations. When regulations come, that'll be it. And then when the big boys, the smart money comes in, and then we're going to be rolling. But really, regulations is holding everything back. Really, we know that BACT is going to eventually make its way. We know the Fidelity is going to start within the next 2 weeks. They're massive, right? It's going to only be it's not going to be the consumer side. It'll be the institutional investing side, but still, it's a big platform used by a lot of people. So I don't have any qualms about what's going to happen on that end. I think we all kind of know where that's going, but I think what really needs to happen is we need to pass some form of this, because the basic core part of the token taxonomy is the fact that that we're updating, what is it, the rule of 1929 and 33 or something,
1933 and 1934.
Yeah, 33 and 34.
Yeah.
So I mean, and it needs a major update and overview, but just the core principles will the update alone is going to be phenomenal, because like I said, you can always add stuff later, but I would just like to see it come out of committee. I'd like to see it go to a full vote. And I kind of feel like, once you have a Dem as one of the sponsor, as Gottheimer leading the way, then I feel like we have a really good shot at getting a full vote. And I can't see Republicans necessarily voting against it. And I do see that if it is pitched as there are some brighter individuals, some newer individuals that have come into Congress and the House and also the Senate, that probably are a little bit closer than this, because I think the median age of a senator is 59 or 60.
Is it? I don't know.
Something like that.
Seems like it's like 90.
It seems pretty old, but I think we've got some new blood that maybe helping that out. But if you think about that, I mean, what do they really know about? So it's a newer thing, and all you have to do to understand what's going on in Congress and how Congress thinks, just go back and watch any of those hearings where they had Google in there, where they had Facebook. It was downright embarrassing. You were like, have you ever been on the internet? Have you ever created a Facebook? I know you have one as a senator, but have you actually ever created one? And so that, I mean, you remember how embarrassing some of the questions?
It was devastating.
I was like horrified. I'm like, well, who? I mean, just you've got aides that can help out, or at least write the questions. They get up there. So this internet thing. What about the Twitters? I've heard about this thing called Twitter, and you're like, oh God, help us all, will you please?
Oh my God! And so that's really that's funny, And I think back on them, and these guys are they're out of control. It's outlandish. How long they sit there. But that brings up a huge point. So here's Gottheimer there. Gottheimer, if and again, the focus is really narrow as to who could be the second. Gottheimer is the guy. He's already sponsoring the bill. Gabbard can't be it, for the reasons discussed. But for Gottheimer to be the guy, he also has to be the guy. He has to truly understand the digital asset space, and he's not there yet. He has to be able to field and answer those questions. So what's interesting is that over this period of time, and really the feedback that I got is that it took a while for even the Davidson's office to understand and be able to discuss digital assets, be able to understand the concept of blockchain technology. But now Warren Davidson appears to be the go-to guy when anybody has any questions. Now, if you're going to have somebody else from the other party, so, obviously Warren Davidson is a Republican. So if you're going to have someone from the other party, a Democrat, that means that Gottheimer needs to, be brought up to speed at a rapid pace. He doesn't have months and months and months to sit around to try to get educated on this topic. Obviously, he has a support mechanism, but that's where I believe we can be extremely instrumental in helping out. That's where I believe that, reaching out to them, having some videos that we can forward on to them. I'm going to find out exactly who the key contact at these individual offices needs to be. So there's a legislative assistant that works directly with Gottheimer, and that's really going to be our funnel. So I'm going to get that person. We'll be in direct contact with that person, and then we'll be able to funnel these videos and say, look, here's the community. Here's what we did already to really help support the Davidson coalition. And now here's what we want to do to help you as well, help your office. We want to make sure that exactly what you talked about, going into a hearing, we don't want Gottheimer to be, a deer in headlights when they start asking about digital asset or blockchain, and all of a sudden he's just like, oh my God, I don't know how to answer that question, or even, that circle of influence. We want to make sure that they're completely prepared for this. And so that's where I think we can be extremely instrumental. I don't think that, when you look at these corporations, obviously there's some incentive from the lobby groups and the corporations to help, but there's a mosquito in here. But are there actually, is there going to be anybody from these lobby groups or from these corporations that are going to actually spend time with the staff and educate them, from the ground up? I mean, I don't know if that's the case. It doesn't seem that it's been happening so far. It just seems that the lobby groups talk at them, say, hey, it's really good. Hey, you need to support it. And here's a stack of bill or of data that you can read through. Here's this, here's that, But what we need to do is simplify it down to everyday language. We need to make crypto for dummies or whatever it is in short video slices to help educate these individuals. And then as a community reaching out and sending tweets to them, and really the language of the tweets has to be very specific as well, because when we do reach out to them, we don't want to be looked at as though it's a bot sending out these messages. We want to make sure that the message is structured so that it looks very personal. And many of these representatives are now focused on answering their tweets and sending out tweets. And, I think we can really thank Trump for that as well, because that has become a direct mode of communication from the individual politician to the people, and so that is also from us to them. They're, focusing more and more on how to communicate. And so if we're going to send messages, hopefully eventually we'll start seeing some responses as well. I think Crypto Eddie actually had a response from Warren Davidson at one point when she had reached out and got a response back. So this means that these guys are engaged and we can make a big impact and really see some changes right away, and so that's what, that's why I'm so passionate about this, because so many of us, for the longest time have always thought, that's what happens in DC. I can never influence it. I can never have an impact on it, but that's not actually the case. Yep, I think we just lost you.
Yeah,
We
agreed.
lost
Sorry.
your camera.
No, you didn't lose me.
Okay.
No, you didn't lose me. What happened?
Oh, there you are.
My daughter's actually out right now. You'll hear me. You should hear me on there. And she's basically asking for me to send her money. And I'm actually streaming on my phone, so the only way I can do it is through the phone.
Okay,
so,
gotcha.
So you should hear me.
Back.
Yeah. Sorry, man. You should hear me. And let me see. Just tell me if you still hear me. Do you still hear me now? Am I still there?
Yeah, no, you're good.
Okay, so I'm gonna probably bounce off the next time you talk, just for a second.
Okay.
I mean, you'll still hear me in there, but she's out on the town. This kid has some kind of a social life, so
nice.
And so yeah, I send her money through the phone, and she's asking for some money that I need to send. Yeah, so Soto too, and Soto's been pretty good, and unfortunately he's not sitting on the, on the FNC, but or
FSC.
FSC, yeah, that's the fight. That's something totally different. But I lost my train of thought there. Good, continue, Jeff.
All right, great. All right.
Good.
So just some.
I'll bounce off for 1 second.
Okay, yeah, go ahead. Let's see. XRP bananas. Government will make sure they look after themselves first. Well, that's what we want to obviously avoid. That always seems to happen. So let's see here. Tap line. We do not have to worry about the government. Ripple is taking care of this. I think Ripple is taking care of it to an extent as they're doing an outreach, as they're lobbying. But again, we need to really have an effort from the people. And this is where the grassroots representatives will 100%, pay attention and, listen to the feedback that we have. So I think that's definitely factual, definitely important to identify that whatever we discuss is important, and we can definitely have a direct. We'll see direct results from our efforts reaching out to these individual congressional representatives. Sorry, I'm just making some adjustment here as Chip bounced off and bounced back on. I wasn't sure how long you'd be gone for, so I actually. I hid you from view, and now I gotta re-show you again. So I'm just bringing you back.
Was giving out XLM. They had like, you had to go watch a video. They're going to give you 10 XLM, Stellar XLM, and you basically had to watch those short videos. I thought the videos were well done. They were a little on the simplified section, and they were more like explainer videos, what they call. But what I liked about them is they're short, really bite size, and just had like one thought process. And I think that, Jeff, that's what you're more or less alluding to, the fact that if we do these shorter sort of like little bites, these little segments, just kind of trying to trim it down, like keep an idea to 2 minutes, talk about the unbanked and why it's important. And, you have, people working in another country, being able to send money, and they're not going to get, hosed by the fees or, I think that maybe that might be the approach that we take. And last time we streamed together a bunch of stuff in one long video, but I almost feel like we have a video or create something, and maybe what's the app I'm thinking of, guys? Maybe in the chat you can put it in there. Is it Telegram that I'm thinking of, where we could involve a lot of different people from this community, like a bigger group, and talk about, in other words, structure your tweets this way in order to get the message out. In other words, it's not necessarily consumer facing as far as the internet's concerned. Like, we're not out there saying, hey, say this or retweet this, but maybe a group where we can have more people. Because I know Twitter is limited to 50 on direct messages. You can create a DM group, but it's only limited to 50. But I think we might be able to create a bigger type of a group, and maybe get some more people in there and just have invites. That way, Jeff, you and I and all the other YouTubers could basically put the link down in the description. You can just simply click in there. But that way we can get mass amount of messages out. Hopefully not spamming, but at least having a central location where we can get the word out. And what do you think about that?
I think that's a great idea. We need to orchestrate something like that, and we're already pulling a decent team together. Especially from a technical perspective, production perspective. So if we can do a Telegram, Discord, whatever. We tried the Discord channel before. That doesn't always work as effectively. So we got to figure that part out. I'm sure there'll be some, good comments, some good responses on that as we start pulling it together. And then as we start really dripping these videos out as well. So you're right. The first video we had we had a decent number of content providers. We had a ton of information, and I remember, as you were going through the editing, and I was on Skype working with you, and we had to trim a considerable amount of that content, and we probably have 3 videos that we could make from that one video, and so that's a lesson. So if we could focus in on a very specific part of it, and then we develop a video from there. And so really, when we really get into it, this grassroots initiative, this is what we're talking about, and pulling this community together. Now imagine from this community how large it can get as we reach out to our individual Congress people, because the goal doesn't really stop with trying to educate Gottheimer, that we'll talk about in a minute, but then it goes to the next level, which is pretty much every congressional representative, because then we got to get the word out to everybody. So Crypto Eddie had mentioned that Gottheimer's in the New Jersey area, which is where Thinking Crypto is in that district as well. So we do need to start connecting the influencers with the individual congressional representatives. Being able to go and visit in person is phenomenal to try to set up a meeting like that. Many times the key contact person that we need to talk to is in DC, but many times a congressperson does actually come back to their district, and they're required to work in their district, which gives an opportunity to go in and visit them in person and set up that meeting. So I do think that could be an opportunity to actually go in and do stuff like that.
Yeah, Crypto Eddie just said that Gottheimer's in Jersey. It might be the same district as Tony from Thinking Crypto. He's a great educator. Yeah, that would be kind of cool. Yep. So we'll definitely have to reach out to Tony and see what's going on there as well. Let's see what else we have. There's another comment.
Yeah, Bob Moneybag said he's in Ohio, so he can hit up Warren Davidson. That could be right great on. To say, hey, we're all part of this, and to show up in person. My dog just moved the camera again. Going to be interesting to see how I bounce off the screen at some point here. I should have. So funny. Let me see here. So yeah, you know what? Let me bounce through some of this other stuff. That I think is really critical. That really shows the direction that this is all moving in, and to show how serious they are. Now we talked a little bit about the Shermanator, and and the Shermanator, and he did propose and speak in front of the FSC. I'm not 100% sure, but I think he might sit on the FSC. I have to double check on that. Hopefully not. But he did present his case. But that's the negative aspect. But here's where I'm extremely positive on the outcome and the direction that things are moving in within Congress. Now, due to the TTA, due to the interest in the TTA, they actually put together a task force called the FinTech Task Force. And the FinTech Task Force, which is now, there's 2 leads. There's one Democrat, one Republican. The Democrat is Stephen Lynch out of Massachusetts, and the Republican is French Hill out of, we have to look it up. I didn't write it down. So a Democrat, Republican. The goal, they haven't announced exactly who's going to be on the task force yet, but there will be a
Arkansas 2nd District.
Is that okay? He's from Arkansas. So the French Hill, yep. So the goal is to have a balance between Dems and Republicans. From what I've heard so far, 5 and 5. So there'll be a total of 10 people on this task force. Their first assignment is the TTA, the Token Taxonomy Act. So this is huge. Now, Maxine Waters, the chair, this is a subcommittee of the FSC, specifically assigned the TTA to this task force to work with and look to develop. So the fact that they have a brand new fintech task force and working with the TTA as their first assignment, I think speaks volumes. The fact that go ahead. Sorry.
I was just saying that. I mean, you think about it. If you set up something called a fintech committee, and their very first agenda item is the token taxonomy, yeah, that's great, because you wouldn't even go to that step to create some sort of a fintech, sort of an offshoot. So, on that news, to me, I think you're right. It's huge, just massive. That kind of tells us what's coming. But I also think that what's happening behind the scenes, we're all lobbying for this. We want this, but I do think it's been bubbling up in probably other areas that we're probably unaware of, where there might be some more heat coming down on Congress, especially from the business side and business lobbying. A lot of businesses spend a lot of money lobbying Congress. So I feel like they may be, companies like IBM, which are heavily into fintech, and a lot of other organizations and companies, Coinbase, which is also regulated. I feel like when, even though their lobbyist group got shut down, I do feel like there's probably some more pressure, but I'd say it's some gentle nodding, prodding, whatever you may want to call it, that's also hitting them, because it's not just this came up because it was introduced and led by Warren Davidson. I have this feeling that there's a lot more going on behind the scenes we're probably aware of, and I do probably feel like a lobbyist at some degree, just because it's so good for business in the U.S. and there's so many plugs on every single side.
Yeah, that's awesome. So, and let me jump down to this. I'm glad you brought that up. Now when we think about the TTA, and again, this is why this goes back to Jeff Rome's question that he asked earlier on. What is your gut telling you about the Token Taxonomy Act? Will it pass? Now, I can't tell at this point if it's going to pass through Congress, but I can tell that it's going to pass through the FSC and go to Congress for a vote. So if it's going through the FSC, if it has the support of people like Maxine Waters, and we can really impact Gottheimer and help educate and do whatever we can do. There's a couple other people that really need to be educated as well. There's a couple representatives, Rep. Axney and Rep. Hack. Both have been very supportive of TTA and vocally supportive. So when we look at it from a perspective of, who do we need to reach out to first, Gottheimer's at the top of our list, then the task force. So being able to go to Stephen Lynch and French Hill, we want to make sure we're sending them information as our secondary. And then our third layer is going to be to people like Rep. Axney and Rep. Heck to say, hey, you guys are amazing. Glad you support the TTA. They've been outspoken on it. We want to make sure that, the community hears, that they hear the community's voice. Now, beyond that, here I think is really the most important part. And these are the organizations that are actually backing TTA. Now, when you listen to the list, I think everyone's going to be really stoked about the list, because you brought up IBM. Obviously, we know IBM is instrumental in working with Stellar, with XLM and cross-border payment, and there's other things they're doing within the space. However, here's the list. Let me read through this list, and Chip, you can comment on each individual one if you want, and provide some feedback. But the U.S. Chamber of Commerce.
The Chamber of Commerce is massive, right? If anything, almost anything. I mean, they're for the most part nonpartisan, but the Chamber of Commerce, really, if they're getting behind something, that bodes well. I think.
You cut out for a second there, Chip.
Sorry, must have lost you.
Yeah, go ahead. Go again.
I'm back. No, I was just saying that the U.S. Chamber is more or less nonpartisan, and since they really are business oriented, right? Chamber of Commerce. It's been interesting to see what they've done over the years, but I think their support is a very positive event, because if they were against it I think that would be detrimental. But the fact that they're for it, I think that bodes really well. I'm glad to see the U.S. Chamber of Commerce jumping behind this.
Yep. So that's huge. The next one, NASDAQ.
I think that goes without saying. NASDAQ is huge, right? I mean, NASDAQ they also have a vested interest in making this succeed and happen as well. But I don't know what your thoughts about NASDAQ are, but I have a feeling that they like I said, they have a vested interest in why they would like the crypto to succeed.
Yep. So then another one that I know that company that you like is Blockquake.
Yeah, Blockquake is. I like Blockquake a lot, and the reason I like Blockquake is I like what they're trying to do. I think they've got a phenomenal like. So Blockquake's looking at launching, I think in October. I know it's definitely the fourth quarter. They're out of New York City. They've gotten some pretty good press. But what I like about them is they said they want to become, and this is really great when they sum it up. They want to become the um, the the Binance and Coinbase. They want to be a hybrid of that. And what they're going for is anywhere from 1.5 to 3 million transactions a second. So they are basically building a really strong infrastructure. They're going to be an exchange, but they're going to do a lot of different things. But I like the management team there. I like all the interviews I followed with these guys there. So I like what they're doing, and I can't wait for them to launch to see if everything they've been hyping actually is there, because I think they're going to be something pretty monumental in the U.S. if it all goes well.
Yep. Yeah, that's awesome. So then the next one is Gemini. I think that kind of speaks
Winklevoss
for
twins,
itself.
yeah.
Yeah. Coin Center. I'm not sure who they are. I'm not sure if you know. I didn't really look them up, but
I don't know much about
never heard of IBM. Not sure who they are, but
them. Never heard of them. Never worked for them either.
no.
I did work for them early in my career. So
I see. Direct connection. Here again, these are organizations that are backing the TTA, and this is coming directly out of Congress. Specific. So, where were we? Coins at IBM, Matter Music. Haven't heard of them. I'm not sure who they are. CoinList. Then here's another big one. Anderson Horowitz.
yeah, Andreessen Horowitz.
Is that Andreessen? Yeah.
Yeah, Andreessen Horowitz, they're probably one of the most well-known, well-seasoned venture capitalists in the world. They've sort of lost their mark a little bit. I wouldn't say they've really lost it, but there's been a lot in the fintech space. They've had some options to basically fund some people. They've been a little bit more hesitant in the fintech space, but Andreessen Horowitz is one of the greatest, if not the greatest. If you look at who they backed over the years, they're phenomenal. They're legendary, and so I love Andreessen Horowitz getting behind this. And if you look at the $100 million of XRP that was donated from Spring to, I don't know if it's pronounced Fort, Forte, or Forte. I did a video on that as well, but they were the ones that were basically back in the company. So Andreessen Horowitz were the main lead and the funding partner for that venture on the VC side. And then Ripple from the Spring arm were the main instrumental, as far as, because what Spring donated was $100 million in XRP to fund development. And what I love about it is they're not saying you have to use XRP. They want gaming on the blockchain. So that's what this is all about. This Fort. I've never even heard it pronounced. I've seen it in articles. Forte, Fort. That's where this $100 million that's going to be spent on the blockchain. I think this is going to blow up massively.
I agree with that. That's awesome. Yeah, I think that's great. Hey, just real quick, somehow I missed this. I think this is an important message here from Moneybags. He said he was going to get his buddy Vinny to pay the Shermanator a visit. Man.
Hey, Vinny.
Hey, Vinny.
I hope Vinny's not a leg breaker, You know what I'm saying? Get a little something, forget about it. I don't know. What is it? I don't know. What about it? I don't know. Nobody knows.
All right, next.
Buddy Vinny.
Vinny. National Venture Capital Association. And these are organizations backing the TTA. And this is really a great list so far. National Venture Capital Association. Any feedback on that?
Yeah, I mean, basically, they want to get behind it because that's where all the fintech venture capital money, they're going to support all the folks that are looking for that. And a lot of times what you've seen, which we've all talked about before, is the fact that you've got a great idea, somebody comes here, and then they got to bounce over some other part of the world because of regulations. Coinbase took their time, but, I think it's hurt their business because they wanted to do it right. They wanted to go through all the they wanted to be regulated, but they were able to move at a snail's pace versus you see companies being just chased out of the United States, going other places. So yeah, they have a very vested interest in the fintech community being financed and keeping a lot of the businesses right here, or certainly doing business in the United States.
Yep. Okay. Next one, Blockchain Association.
Yeah, the Blockchain Association, I think it's just another association. I'm not too familiar with them, but it sounds to me like they have some underlying reason why they might want this to succeed.
Yep. Yep, I think so too. Circle, that's another good one. Eon, I'm not sure who Eon is.
Well, I'll tell you about
EON.
Circle.
But
Yeah,
Circle,
so
go ahead.
I'll just say about Circle is like, early days Circle when I had my startup and I was taking a lot, we were sending Bitcoin 2012, 2013. 2014. Circle used to be, I thought Circle was going to break out. They had amazing backing from a lot of big people in the industry. They've sort of taken somewhat of a back seat. I don't know anybody out there that really uses Circle anymore. They kind of, and that what they did was, I think a lot of it had to do with regulations, but they stopped having the ability to send money to somebody else like Bitcoin and then being able to deposit that in their bank. So that one time I thought they were going to be massive. And Jeff, you really hear much about Circle anymore?
No? Where?
Yeah, they've kind of fallen off the map. At one time they had a pretty good stronghold. They were a very good exchange. They had a phenomenal app, great user experience, and then they just shut it all down. So that kind of killed a lot of their
that was it.
Their exposure.
Yeah, they're still out there. Templum Market, Synchronicity, and there's obviously a whole bunch of others. Let me go back to these comments. There were some concerns here. Let me go back up. Let me see. Let's see. Question: as a Canuck, and this is AJ, Ajax. As I'm Ajax, as I'm not 100% with the U.S. laws. Well, in Canada, obviously, they might as well be because north of the border, you don't want to tell Canadians, but Canada might as well be another part of the U.S. Okay, let's not go.
Don't tell them.
No, I don't want to say that too loud, so that's why I'm kind of saying it really low. So Ajax doesn't hear that.
51st state.
51st state. It's a really big state.
Yeah, with few people.
Not too many people up there. I think, what is it, like 30 million people in Canada? About the size of California population-wise? Is that what it is?
It's a huge
landmass.
Yeah, AJ would probably know better.
Yeah.
I'll have to Google that.
But the question was, does the Taxonomy Act really matter, or can the USA market move forward without it, like many other countries? You wanna field that question?
37 million. Sorry, I got sidetracked on how many people there were. Say it one more time. I was a little bit
37 million? Okay.
37 million people. I had to know right away, so I had to Google that.
There's about 19 million in Florida. There's about 30-something million in California. And Canada's got this massive landmass, and they only have 37 million people. That's amazing.
And Florida recently overtook, this happened just this past year where Florida overtook the population of New York because all the New Yorkers are moving down here to escape the taxation of death that's happening up there. The taxes are getting so crazy everywhere.
Don't we have a decision in that? Don't we be able to vote on that? Whether or not they move down here?
We ought to be able to, because then they come down here and complain that there's no good pizza and there's no good bagels, and I'm with them. I mean, that's true, but hey, you got sunshine.
But it's not like they bring it down here. Like they come down and they complain about it. It's like bring a deli, bring a pizza place. I want some good thin crust.
There's the Brooklyn Bagel Company or whatever it's called. They actually bring water or something from. They import water.
Yeah, because God forbid you use the water in Florida. It's not that good. The water here is not really that good. Right.
Well, the first time I remember this when I remember when I first came to Florida many years ago, I filled up a tub. I don't know what it was. Maybe there's a hurricane coming. And it looked like Mountain Dew. It was like yellowish and stuff. And I'm like, well, I guess there's a reason why we probably don't drink this water. It was like yellow. It was like, I was like, somebody come and do something in my tub when I wasn't looking. But it was just like, I was horrified. I was like, yeah, that's why you drink bottled water here.
Yeah.
I guess you could survive, but it's still pretty nasty.
Yeah. You can attempt that. So the question, does the TTA really matter? Or can the U.S. move forward without it like many other countries?
Don't know. Did I lose you?
No.
Oh, sorry, man.
Waiting. That's a really hard question to answer. I think
it's a tough question to answer, and it was funny. I just have to read this one comment. I have to say, Mac31400 said, "Quit getting sidetracked," in all caps. Quit getting sidetracked.
Getting sidetracked.
I'm sorry, man.
Did we get sidetracked?
Squirrel. Squirrel. He said, quit getting sidetracked. He's throwing it down, man. He's like, I'm not going to put up with this. I don't like where you're going with this conversation now. You're sidetracking it again.
What did we
Go
get
ahead, throw the
sidetracked
question
with?
out there.
We get sidetracked with the Florida water.
I think the water, but Florida Power and Light. I don't know.
You know what? When there's hurricanes, they tell you to fill up your bathtub. I'm trying to find the question again. I scrolled down and I lost. Basically, Ajax was asking, is the TTA really that significant, or can we move forward as other countries have moved forward without it? My opinion on that is that other countries that have moved forward, like in Switzerland or Thailand, have passed regulatory clarity. The SEC did rule on a number of different sections within the space in Thailand in order to securitize or tokenize securities. And then they had other, and so I think if you look even in like Wyoming, they're passing regulation that digital assets should be treated like currency. That's at a state level. Switzerland, the government in Switzerland has been passing some regulatory clarity. So I think in short, the answer is yes, it is important. In long, I believe that, I think we could probably do without it, but at the same time, then there's always going to be this gray area of uncertainty on how the government responds and how courts react, because they're going to have to they're going to have to go back to case law in order to answer question, especially when it comes down to deeming whether or not a digital asset is a security or not. To me, that's really a big part of this. So if we're going to continuously use a law that was a test for law that was formulated back in 1946 and the Securities Exchange Act of 1933, we're talking about antiquated law that never understood the dynamics of a digital asset. Even the IRS tax code of 1986 that needs to be changed. So there's 1933, 1934, 1944. There's something else in there. I forget what it was for. Yeah. And then 1986. 1986 is significant, but that's what Maxine Waters wants to take out, which has to do with allowing tax-free investment in digital asset in retirement accounts, similar to gold and others, as well as those quick exchanges with a realized gain of up to $600. They want to take that out. So I think that it's important to have some clarity. Like Chip, like you were saying, we need something. We need, at least a part of it to move forward, so that everybody gets on board and there's never a gray area. Otherwise we're going to be operating in this gray zone. And that's not good.
Yeah, and think about it the way it is right now. So even though we're seeing clarity, regulations coming clear, I can't kind of think at some point India is going to come around. I mean, I know you've seen a lot of FUD and a lot of bad stuff coming out around that, because they had that. I don't know if you guys saw that whole thing where they blew up their currency. Their different denominations of it, where they try to, because there was so much black market stuff, they try to basically get it out of the system. And what they did was just kind of backfired on them. Where they're trying to take out like the equivalent of like a $50 and $100 note out of their economy, because everything was being traded on the black market. And so what was happening was there was all kinds of avoidance happening with taxes. What they're having a big problem with is taxation inside of India themselves. So when they try to just basically route these notes out, they basically gave everybody 30 days. So if you had a bunch of notes stuffed under your mattress, you had to make a mad dash. But, well, it didn't work out exactly, because now the black market's bigger than it ever has. There's other ways to trade, not necessarily with fiat, but there's other ways to trade too. So it kind of like, it may have squashed one problem with getting the note out of the system. So I think that India is going to have to step up. And right now, and I think really Mac 31400 said it best when his comment was, the banks using XRP will not move forward. He's 100% right. And even though in Europe, the main banking hub is London, and I know with Brexit, you're seeing some tumultuous sort of upheaval with regard to, will those banks stay there? Will they start moving to other, centralized locations like, say, Switzerland, where a lot of the banks are also based? But as a central hub, what's happening inside of Europe, I feel like the same thing is happening inside the U.S. if we don't get that clarity, that regulatory clarity, we're not going to necessarily get liftoff. Not to say that we're not going to continue moving, because as XRP, investors and holders, we're in it for long term anyway, right? We're looking at the long game. But I think the immediate short game we really have to look at is that the point was that Mac 31400 brought up is that the banks, we're like, well, what's going on with the banks? Listen, I work in an industry, I work inside of, I worked inside of the foreclosure, bankruptcy side, and on the legal side of things. Banks, I know a lot about how banks have been hurt with fines. So in a scenario where something goes into bankruptcy, they could be $30,000 or $40,000. They won't file a proof of claim in a bankruptcy where the money's available, because the regulation is so strict that if they screw something up, the fine is 50 grand. It's easier for them to write it off. So when banks are looking at this, what's really key and important for them is they've got to have some kind of clarity. And they certainly don't want to make a misstep. Now, if you watch anything happening in the US, if you look at Wells Fargo is getting fined pretty much every 3 to 4 weeks. Hundreds of millions, if not billions of dollars, because a lot of miscues and steps and business decisions. And so this happens all the time. I think you'd be shocked. There was a report that came out not too long ago that talked about all the grievances that banks have. And it was a report that basically went through everything that banks are responsible for, that as you and I, if we were doing this, we would be pounded into the sand, like we'd be put away, throw away the keys. But, basically money laundering, tax evasion, all kinds of weird stuff going on with banks. They basically get fined, but they're trying to look at their balance sheet. They're trying to figure out, they want to keep in the positive. But I think that's the key thing. If we want banks really moving and sending money, yeah, thank God that Asia, like Japan, is really leading the way. You look at they're just torching everything. I feel like that's a good thing, because the U.S. generally, and sometimes will be a leader and sometimes they'll be a follower. But in this case, we absolutely need regulatory clarity. We need something to pass. We need a good, at least first phase to go through before we go any further, because I just feel like, we're not going to get the kind of, banks will test it, but they're testing it. Testing it is not the same thing as use case. And that banks are itching to use it because there's a lot of money at stake. For them to be able to move money point A to point B, true remittance on both sides, and not to mention all the corporations that would also be responsible for using this. Their profitability is at stake here, but they're not going to make a miscue. They're not going to make a move without some clarity. So I think it's kind of a two-pronged. Can we get by? We can. We are right now, and we're still early days. However, I think the big game here is the long game is, we're going to be fine, all of us in the community, but we have to have some regulatory clarity, because once the U.S. goes that route, you're going to start seeing other countries, the same way we have fear of missing out will happen with other countries. The U.S. pulls the trigger on this, and the next thing India is like, we got to take a closer look at this. You'll start seeing other countries that will start to get out because they've got the fear of missing out, and they certainly don't want. They have fintech. Every country has fintech companies starting up. There's a tremendous amount of money, venture capital being spent in the space. They've got the same issue we have over in the U.S. They don't want that going someplace else. They want to keep it inside their own home country. And there's only one way to get there, is that it's got to be regulation.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with everything you just said. I just want to say what's up to Mama Lacey, logged in, driving home from work and texting while driving. So hopefully you're at a red light while you're doing that. And also I want to say that Mac 314, to get sidetracked, he was asking AJ about Wi-Fi in the rural areas of Canada. Talk about getting sidetracked. Sorry, I don't.
Well, it isn't important.
Yeah.
It is important to know. It's like, for example, have you seen this in Alaska? Because Alaska is a vast piece of land as well, but they're laying down fiber everywhere. So it's really starting to connect, because they've had horrible experience up there, and they're starting to lay down fiber. And meanwhile, you and I both have the same internet company. I think I have the same.
Awesome.
The same company.
So
I can't get fiber here, man. I was like 2 miles away in my other house. I had fiber. I had beautiful fiber. I could probably stream amazingly, but I struggle at this point.
You get the fiber optic, then it goes through your copper wiring in the house.
Right. That's the other thing too. You got to have a that's the other thing too. It's like, it's good when it comes in.
Like,
And
like you
yeah,
get a fire hose and you're trying to, you know, put it into a straw. It's like, oh, I'm
then,
getting some of it.
yeah, I was joking about that with my with the installer. I'm like, yeah, but you know, I said the bad thing about it is you could bring this amazing fiber in, then we're throwing it through copper. And he was laughing. He goes, "You're one of the only guys that gets it." He goes, you know, he goes, "I put in this stuff. People have these computers that are 10, 12 years old, and they don't understand why it doesn't work well."
Right? Exactly.
Yeah, there's something. Why doesn't it work? Well, I have an idea.
Yeah, I don't know.
Possible idea. Hey, Sifu's in here. Crypto Sifu.
Oh yeah, I meant to say that. Yeah.
Who just started, a new guy started streaming. I love his videos, man. I think he does an amazing job, and it's just so cool. What I love about this community is the perspective, right? Everyone has a take. Everyone has a different perspective. So that's pretty cool. What is it? Ajax here says, I think SEC's coming out and saying crypto is okay to trade / use would be more important for our brothers to the south of us. Yeah, true. Very true.
Yeah.
Dansky says U.S. banks are allowed to test crypto as per the Sandbox initiative. Right on. Yep. Money service businesses, MSBs, have a little more freedom to use crypto because they're regulated similar to FI, but differently. Yeah. So yeah, but I think the banks is really key where it is. You know, that's where the real volume is going to come from. And I don't know. I mean, right now we've got the greatest stable coin ever. You know, I mean, we look at some. I do too. I'll be honest with you. People ask me how I feel about it. I'm like, you know what, man? It's great. I love it. It's you know, hey, it's gonna boom. It's gonna take everyone by surprise, but it'll happen when it happens. But you know, we got to clear. I'm more concerned about, like you said, the regulatory clarity, man. I'm more concerned about pushing this thing through. But look at this. You got if this comes out of committee, what do we have? The House is majority Democrat, right? So you're going to get that can pass on Democrat alone. It'd be great to have the Republican support. Then it goes over to the Senate. I kind of think that I would hope that, you know, sensibilities would prevail and they would see, you know, let's not mess with it too much. They may make some additions, but I have a feeling once we see this come out of the committee and then go to a full vote, I think we're going to see, because I mean, it's basically sponsored when it comes out of committee, which is run by the Democrats. I almost feel like that's our biggest hurdle. Let's get this out of committee. Let's get a vote, get out of committee. And then once it goes to a full vote, I think we've got an amazing shot. And then once, you know, all bets are off, once it ends up back at, you know, with the Senate. But I have a feeling that Mitch McConnell probably would love to see something like this. And you know, one of the things that we talked about, Jeff, is when we went through the video, we had, you know, we had a little bit of, we were trying to play really to the strengths of the Democrats. Democrats have hot buttons, Republicans have hot buttons. And then there's some things that meet in the middle. And what we were attempting to do in that video, and, you know, like we had to cut out some of Rob Cash's stuff and Jungle stuff. Everybody got cut, you know, we all got cut out of there. And just to kind of make it sensible.
Hey, Crypto CFO with a $5. Awesome. Keep killing it.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Killing it, bro. Crushing it. Just sub Sifu. Good job. Yeah, guys, go over and sub Sifu, man. He's awesome. You know, he's a trucker. He's traveling all over the U.S., but he gives his perspective. He's spot on. He's also too, you got to check out his feed because he has you got to check his truck out. It's pretty badass.
That's pretty sweet. I saw the pictures. That's awesome.
Did you see the pictures? Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Freaking awesome. Yeah. When will this happen? When will what happen? Mac
come to the vote.
Oh yeah, that's a good question. I don't know. You know, I don't know when it's going to happen. But again, I think our primary focus right now is helping get it out of committee. You know, and once it gets out of committee, getting in front of Congress. So like you were saying, Chip, you know, there was so much great content. There's so much great information. I mean, we look at these streams every night. We look at the comments. There's so much content, and there's so many informed individuals within this community. Now, you know, being able to tap into this information and then bringing it to Congress, these guys need this information more than ever. And again, the corporations aren't going to spend the time to truly educate them. They're going to throw money at them. They're going to bombard them. They're not going to take the grassroots approach. They just don't do it that way. You know, and so, so now I think it's a finesse. So they're going to get bombarded from the top, and they're seeing all these major organizations that we just talked about, and then we come at it, from a different perspective. It's really going to have a major impact. So when does it happen? It's going to happen when it happens. But we take it in stages, and we're going to definitely have an impact. So that's what I'm so excited about it. I'm really excited every time I see the people that are participating in these streams as well. There's so many smart people that are involved in this space, and I think about the direct impact. And what really resonated to me were some of the things that Crypto Bird Dog had mentioned, regarding from a farmer's perspective on getting paid, and how important that money was to her, to her business, when they send, it has to be instantaneous. They're living on that kind of a budget with that business, and they can't afford the delays. And right now, when you're transacting money, there's delays, and sometimes the payment doesn't come through, and there's a big sacrifice. And so what she had said on that initial video we did, I think it really resonated. It was really important. Then Jungle had another statement as well. The way he explained it with a single mother, you might remember exactly how he phrased it, but I thought that was important as well. Remember that?
Yeah, it was really good. It says I have a poor connection. I don't know if it's coming through, but anyway, I had a little stumble there. But yeah, I gotta say I was kind of blown away by when Crypto Bird Dog talked about that, because when you talk about real world application, sometimes you can talk, and this is what I like about somebody who's actually in a district. If we get somebody from a district, like even though I'm not in Soto's district, I'm at least in the same state, and I basically sent him a tweet like, hey, make us proud, fellow Floridian and whatnot, go out there, and go ahead and crush it, type of thing, like, we're all counting on you, that type of thing. But it's really kind of cool when you get somebody from a district that says, hey, this is key, this is important, I'm one of your constituents, and I want to see something like this go forward and go past. And if I could just take one other second, can I sidetrack us one more time, Jeff?
Of course.
I want to sidetrack us one more time because I have to say that Bob Moneybags, much love. So, I did that video about the back and forth, and you and I, Jeff, we should go up there. We should take a ride up to that crypto cafe in West Palm. But, I put that video out there, and Sam I Am tweeted something out, but Bob Moneybags started this, he started this hashtag tweeting on the internet. Let's get this trending, chip to 1K, because when I was doing that, YouTube changed the rules. You used to be able to live stream, and I know why they did it, because of that incident that happened in New Zealand with the mosque shooting. The guy live streamed it to Facebook and other things. What they're trying to do is eliminate the opportunity to, if it takes you enough time to get there, fair enough. But it was like, so that eliminated some other folks out there too, like GXRP. If you remember, his videos were always like cool sunset, or somewhere cool out in California we used to see. And it kind of eliminated that from a lot of us folks. XRP Boo Boo, who also, would stream from her phone. She can't live stream, so she basically does a video and then uploads it, much the same way I do. So, I think it's important for, not only me, but I think all of these new content creators, people like Crypto Sifu and XRP Boo Boo and Bob Moneybags, streamer Rob Cash is rocking it out there, but it's good for all of us to kind of lend a lifting hand, to kind of see what we can do to support each other and getting us all over that 1K mark, so that if we wanted to, we could just go stream live from any point. And I think, and again, I've said this to Rob Cash a bunch of times. I've said, Rob, we got to do a show. We'll call it, Cash and Chips. It's just almost could be a poker show, Cash and Chips. What do you think, Rob? Are we in? We'll do the
John. Thanks for that. That's awesome. John Crandall. I don't know if I've seen you on the show. Sorry, Chip. I didn't mean to interrupt there.
No, man. John Crandall. Nice, yep. Man. I always love seeing new faces. One of the things I love about watching your streams, and I was so mad that I overslept today. I don't know what happened. I usually love to get up and have some coffee, sit out in the lanai, listen to some, because I got to tell you what I really appreciate about your streams, Jeff, is the fact that, man, the people that come in there and contribute, they're so well read. There's the comments they share are just amazingly thought out. So it's like you almost have two things going on. You have what's going on in the comments, and you have what's going on, what you're talking about. So you're always, I love what you're doing, man. And it's just thought I'd give you some props on that, because I mean, you're building this really awesome sort of community, and you send a lot of folks over, and I try to send as many people over to, other folks as I can as well. So I love that, and I appreciate that.
Totally appreciate that. And that's where we get the community coming together. And we got Auburn Rain is in here. We got Rob Cash. We had Crypto Eddie on, in here. We got Bob Moneybags. We got a lot of great content providers. GXRP, he's been putting up some new content. There's just so much going on. And as we pull it all together with the XRP Zoo, I really like what the XRP Zoo did, because it gives an opportunity, a platform to pull multiple people from within the community together at the same time. And I kind of like this engagement of having someone else to talk to on the live stream. It kind of it creates a different dynamic, and it might even be, more interesting for, people that are listening, where you're, trying to engage. It's hard to type. I like the call-in ideas, like last night, Auburn Rain had GXRP call in via Skype. He wasn't on video, but he was a call-in. What a great conversation. It's changing the dynamics, which also goes to the fact that you're building out this website that I think is going to help us facilitate a lot of these different things. And even, let people know in advance, obviously creating this schedule, showing people all the different content creators in the space. But then as part of the schedule, maybe even give people an advance warning on the website that this is the topic that's going to be discussed. You're going to see so-and-so, and so, you're going to see a mix of different people on the different channels, on the chats, and maybe we end up having a weekend edition, where we have multiple people come together as well. A bigger panel discussion, around the idea of, the XRP Zoo kind of formulated multiple people on, but we have a panel conversation about a specific topic, which could be really interesting too, because right now there's really not a lot of weekend stuff, and I'm seeing the weekend, as a great opportunity that doesn't necessarily have to be every weekend, but as long as it's on the schedule, we plan it out. It's an interesting space. Bringing good topic. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah, it's funny. Before you live stream, when you do this thing, one of the weirdest things, it's like if you're ever listening to the radio, talk radio, it doesn't matter, any kind of radio, and somebody's talking, and then there's a pause, and then you think, oh my God, what happened? The video, what, is there something wrong? Did I lose the radio? I mean, you always go to that. So a lot of times, you're right. When you're filling the space and you're talking a lot, going through an hour, hour and a half. And when DNI does his like epic 2-3 hour streams, I'm like, I don't know how he does it, because just talking for that long. I do love the idea. I had a blast when we were on together on the Zoo stream that one night, and sometimes, especially in this bear market, like, we laughed a bunch of times, even though we're presenting something very serious here, but it's fun. It's like once in a while you got to kick back and have a little bit of a laugh, and I enjoy it. You invited me to come on here. It's like, yeah, I love doing that, because I love bouncing off, and maybe I'll talk a little bit more, because a lot of this stuff I'm very steeped in and I love it, but it's not necessarily what I present on my show. I more present the tech side, but I love engaging on the side, because I love, I'm a big fan of politics and, study as well. You and I have talked a lot about it offhand. So it kind of, what else I like about it is it gives other people a different flavor when you create that group dynamic. Like, you might not laugh as much, but you get on this stream, you and I are laughing a little bit, or a little bit more light. So I feel like when you bring other people together from different YouTubers together, you see a different side of them. You see maybe that, oh, wow, I didn't know that they knew this or talked about that. But yeah, you're right. It's like sometimes if I go like, hang on a second, I'm going to go do something, and there's that really uncomfortable pause. You're like, whoa, did Chip, did he
freeze?
Did he like drop out?
Oh, yeah,
Did he freeze? Once in a while, like just like you start talking,
and then you go.
And I'm just joking.
Yeah.
I'm just doing that for fun.
Yeah,
but you know what I mean? It looks like you froze, and like,
Yep.
what are you gonna do? So, but yeah, man, I kind of agree. I think the action item too would be that, maybe we formulate some stuff offline, or we start throwing like like a public forum, but I would like the idea for everybody like in the community to have one big broadcast channel where we get 500, 1,000, 2,000 people to just start sharing this stuff inside of a stream. And Bob Moneybags, what am I thinking about? What's the platform that I'm thinking about? Is it Telegram? Is that the one I'm thinking about? I usually would just like throw my phone there. I'm trying to think of it offhand. Maybe we don't have to know right now, but I'm trying to think of it because I belong to a bunch of different groups where you hit people up. And Bob Moneybags, because we use it. Well, there's also that side of it too. We can also set up a Slack channel too. Slack could be something interesting.
Discord,
right
Telegram.
Yeah,
there's a whole bunch of them.
Extremely potent. Thank you. Discord's what I was thinking about. Thank you. You are. And by the way, did anybody ever tell you you are extremely potent? Just wanted to say that. But yeah, Discord's what I'm thinking about. We get a Discord chat,
extremely.
So you can break it up into extremely. You can break it up into different sort of like sub channels. Like this is specific news, or people want to share news items. They can share it in the different channel items. But I think Discord, right on. Telegram, Slack. That's it. Yeah. So. But I think we get something like that going. We get the whole community involved. And the cool thing is you can have other folks come in, and it won't necessarily be about XRP. It'll be really about us putting crypto community together. Bigger beyond what we are as the XRP community, but bigger than us, and throwing it out there and having because everyone knows someone from a different community, right? Someone probably knows someone who's a Bitcoin guy or gal, and somebody knows somebody who's into Tron, or EOS or Litecoin. We all know somebody from a different community. That's how we spread this. We invite them, they come in, because this mission, this is good for all of us. And like I always say, a rising tide floats all boats. We all win together. All projects may not make it, but it doesn't matter. Together we will make it, because we gotta bust this out. And especially if you don't live here, people like Ajax, you come in these streams, you hear all this how boring our government is, but I think the best part of it is you're here supporting us, because again, we all have a vested interest in making this work for everybody.
Yep. That's awesome. Look at extremely potent. I've been watching on HODL Report. I found your channel, XRP Minute, when you interviewed that dude in the cafe. I think CKJ sent me. Great group, you two, though.
Yeah, great, man. Thanks. Yeah, CKJ was awesome. He blew up my channel, and I think, guys, just so you know, I'm over 500 now, so it's kind of
nice.
Cool.
And we'll get you to 1,000 and on.
So, 1,000 and beyond. And then we work on everybody else in the community, and then we just start getting everybody else there. Hey, Connie's in here, XRP Angel.
Oh,
Connie's
look at that. Hey.
In the room.
Hey, Connie, what's going on? Good to see you here.
This
is awesome. We're coming up on, when did we start? We started at 9 o'clock. An hour 40.
Wow, is this an hour and a half?
We're up at an hour 40. Man, that was pretty good. It didn't seem like an hour 40. It kind of goes quick. Yep.
Not at all. Yep. It felt pretty good. But I think we hit a lot of the big points, and I think you really kind of outlined it really nicely. I think what we have to do now is let's show what a community can do when we come together, because we can crush it together. I mean, we can go out there and crush it, because every one of us is instrumental. We all have a voice. We all have our Twitter. We all have, multiple channels. Some people are into Facebook, but we can together, that's how it's going to work, as a, together what's the line about divided we fall? What is that?
Together we stand, divided we fall.
Amen. That's what I'm talking about. Together we make it happen. Why is my face giant again?
I just changed it.
Holy.
I don't know, man. OBS. Maybe someone can develop another OBS.
Well, they have. I've been trying out another platform. It
doesn't work either, right?
It's been crap, I'll be honest with you. And I know a lot of people they like it. I may have to try it again. I don't know. Maybe I'll try it, because I do send out I basically go out to Restream, and that seems to be pretty successful. But I don't know. I mean, it's all browser based, which I like. It's supposed to. The theory behind it is that the cloud handles a lot of the stuff, so it's less resource intensive because OBS.
Yep.
Isn't it funny that isn't it funny the letters BS are in there?
I love it. It's complete BS. OBS. And that's what you say every time. It is. Except I don't say BS. I have a lot of other choice words. But
I think I know what those are. I can read your. I can't say that because Angel Connie's in here.
That's right.
with the verbiage here.
Crypto Eddie's still on
we
here.
fall together we divide.
Yeah. And we got I love seeing all these comments here. Brady Neal said, I love that I can't watch this at 2 times. Real life is much, much better. And so, obviously, you want to be able to speed through a replay and live stream, and you're stuck with us. You're either with us or you're not. And
That's
you
right.
guys
You're
have
with
been
us
with
or
us.
against us, man.
Yeah,
you're either here or you're not.
Or you're not.
We are watching every one of you.
Remember that. Yeah. So it's like 30, 35 people. We've had a decent crowd coming and going. It's how it goes. But I'm so happy to see everyone sticking through this. So next steps. I think that's really what a lot want to hear as well. What's the next step with everything that we can do with the Token Taxonomy Act? We have a little group together. I think that we'll discuss, figure out how we can orchestrate a couple more videos and roll those out. Greg Williams, thanks for that. Thanks for the tip. Another name I haven't seen before. It's interesting. You get people that watch videos but might not comment, and I really appreciate seeing people come on and new comments and people that have acknowledged that, whether they're coming in from your show, mine, elsewhere. So anyway, what you before I kind of lose this train of thought, you had mentioned trying to bring everybody together. Imagine if we're doing these live streams and having the opportunity, like you said, to share and really promote and do a mass promotion, above and beyond, and really get the message out there. And there's some really amazing streamers already, with CKJ, Brad Kimes has done a phenomenal job. DNI is really rising up through the ranks. But as we build and try to, identify an infrastructure to really get the word out. So that's really what I'm excited about. As Chip is pulling this website together. Again, kind of goes back, we already talked about it, but you had mentioned getting thousands of people that can tune in at any one given moment, because we're starting to create a groundswell. And then right now it's not just on the Telegram or the Discord or whatever, but right on YouTube or Periscope or whatever it might be, and trying to reach a much, much broader audience, once we start reaching out to mainstream. And I think when we really want to see, and tap into, and, I don't want to really put this out there, but in order to get Congress, to pass something like this kind of legislation, I don't mean to get all serious about this again, but, or, Senate to pass this kind of legislation, we do need a much, broader audience to really start promoting this, or at least get a much broader audience to see, the importance and significance of this space. But it doesn't really, it doesn't end there, because as we start seeing mainstream adoption, the education of the mainstream space is also going to require a lot. And, going to mainstream media to try to get that education is really the wrong place. Hopefully with this website and some of the ideas that are being rolled out, this becomes a resource for the mainstream when they do start adopting, to turn to, for the education and guidance. I don't know. I'm just kind of thought I'd throw it out there since we're on the topic, and we're. What do you think?
Yeah, agreed. And yeah, I do. Exactly spot on. So I have been putting together a website. It started out as a streaming schedule, and it's sort of like gone a little bit. Yeah, it says poor connection again.
No,
I don't
good.
know why it does that.
I can hear.
Anyway, okay. So one of the things it says is I started as a streaming schedule, but then then a bunch of people started sharing ideas. Jeff had some great ideas, and so it sort of expanded into like sort of an XRP community type of a site. Not necessarily like a lot of times we're unaware of things. Like I found a guy the other day that I'd never seen before. He streams from his car, talks about XRP. So it's about adding people, because ultimately what's going to happen is someone's going to come on the site. They're going to be like, hey, you missed so-and-so, or what about her? Or what about this person? So I do think that's going to be really key and important to have people who are streamers, but also other content creators, like who creates the gear, the t-shirts, keychains, socks, soap, what kind of stuff can you get And what about, who are some of the charities out there? So, some of the 6 XRP charities that the Good Souls group promotes. So I want it to be an all-encompassing type site. So the very first rollout, it's just that it's coming along really nicely. I'm really happy about it. I'm really excited to launch it to the community, to really promote the people out there and having sort of like a source to go to. And the good news is I also have multiple ways to find the website, because if you remember the URL one way or backwards or whatever, forwards, you'll remember it. But once we get there, I'm gonna really count on you out there just to kind of like let us know what's missing, so it needs this or it needs that, or we should add so and so. And sometimes I have people that kind of bleed over. Like a lot of times they talk about XRP, but they may other talk about some altcoins as well. So I kind of am sectoring those folks as well. But I want it to be a site, and thanks for bringing that up, Jeff, but I want it to be a site for the community, because we can all learn about each other. There's like little blurbs on there, photos. And if I reach out to you and say, hey, I need to have you out there. Like, for example, I've got pretty much everybody, all the streamers in here. I've got Bob Moneybag, Sifu, HODL Report, Rob Cash. But there's going to be people that I may miss. There's going to be some new streamers coming into the space, but we want to be able to support everybody. So you're going to find somebody in there and you say, oh, I didn't know about this person, or this is cool. So that's really what the idea about the site is. And there's also a streaming schedule. So you click on Tuesday and say, well, wait, who's streaming on Tuesday again? I don't remember. So that's going to help out too.
Hey, so just real quick, I just want to acknowledge some statements that have been made. And I'm thinking we can round this off at 11, maybe go another like 12 minutes, or we can end up talking for like another couple hours, whatever you want to do. But
true.
So Dansky said somebody should reach out to the congressmen that are crypto supportive and ask what we as a community can do to help to get regulation. So this is actually kind of my direct channel and source. So I have been in communication with Warren Davidson's office, Dan, and getting a lot of the feedback on what has been moving and what has been happening with the Token Taxonomy Act. I would say go for it. Find your local congressional representative. Find out first and foremost if they support Token Taxonomy Act, because it will move through committee and it's going to go to Congress. You might as well educate them now. You might want to look at the list of those who are in the Financial Services Committee and find out maybe they're in your district. And so that is a great place to start. The person that you want to talk to isn't necessarily the congressman, because you might never get a chance to talk to them just off that first phone call, but their legislative assistant that's responsible for things like that. So you want to reach out to them and say, you want to talk to them about the Token Taxonomy Act that's being co-sponsored or sponsored. If they're a Democrat, mention Darren Soto, mention Gottheimer. If they're a Republican, mention Warren Davidson. I want to talk to the legislative assistant about this bill that's right now in the Financial Services Committee, the Token Taxonomy Act. And I want to know where the congressperson stands on this subject. And so that's a great place to start. Now you have an idea of where your congressperson stands, and then you know where to go next. If you're engaged directly with this individual, when we start putting out these videos, or even without the videos, throw out some info, lead them, whatever you can do to help. But I think that initial contact with that legislative assistant and find out what they know about it, that'll really help guide the way. Now, if everybody in the room, does something like that, you're going to have a major impact because we're already taking it to the next level. So that's my recommendation. My dog just moved the camera again.
I love your dog.
XRP Bags, first time watching you go live. Great show, awesome. So, let's see here. Two legends streaming live. Please hit those thumbs up. Anthony Jackson, appreciate that. Ajax.
West Side. Yeah, so Mac 31400. Mac, we got to change that. I'm going to give you a nickname, but I'm not sure what that 31400 is, but it's a real mouthful to say. I'll just call you Mac. How about Mac? So he's basically saying he's from Grand Rapids. Okay, so he's from
Grand
Grand
Rapids,
Rapids, up in
Michigan.
I spent some time there. Yeah, so I spent some time at the. I worked 4 years at the Tech Center, General Motors Tech Center. Lived in Rochester Hills while I was there. So I love. I'm a big fan. I know you spent some time up there too, right, Joe?
I did, yes.
In
Yeah, I was in Detroit for almost 11 years.
Yeah, I spent 4 years there, so we got a Michigan connection. Let me put up the palm right there. There we are, right there. There's the UP right there. If you live in Michigan, this is it. You got to put the UP. The UPers, they want to leave them out. But that's it. Everything's on the hand, right? It's like, where do you live in Michigan? I'm up here. Well, there's actually a cool conference going on in Traverse City, which I would love to go to. And I actually may go there, but I don't know how you get up there. I don't know if I guess you fly into Detroit and then maybe take one of those little putter planes up there.
No, then you drive.
Traverse City's a great place.
Get in a car and you drive.
You drive?
Yeah. I mean, you could fly into Flint. You can.
I guess you could do that too. Yeah.
Yeah. XRP Carolina Pontiac for about 2 years. Man, what years were you in Pontiac? And we're not talking about driving a Pontiac.
When the Silverdome was there, how about when they tried to like detonate the Silverdome and it just.
And it didn't happen. They're great. Yeah.
Nothing went. Yeah. They bought that for like $400,000. Did you know that? It was still like in workable order, but it needed a new roof.
Yeah.
But still, somebody bought.
They were planning on putting apartments in there. Hey, they wanted to take the Silverdome and put apartments. That's crazy.
Yeah, it was a weird thing.
What do you know about the clearinghouse? Private citizen. Which clearinghouse?
I don't know what he's talking about. Which clearinghouse you're talking about? Yeah, is it in Detroit?
99 to 01. Oh yeah, I was there. I was there during those years. Good years.
There you go.
Those are definitely good years.
Supports financial data exchange work on API technical critical standard. That's the clearinghouse. Is that the clearinghouse you're referring to?
Crypto Sifu's from Detroit. Huh. Man, I can't believe DNI, Crypto Sifu, XRP Minute, and we've got XRP Carolina. Look at all these people that are from the Michigan area. Insane.
Yeah, so the clearinghouse, basically, is this the one you're talking about? Private citizen? Supports financial data exchange work on API technical blah blah standard la 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 la. Is that the one you're talking about? So I don't know if that's the one. I'm not, to be honest with you, I don't really know much about it. Owns and operates core payment infrastructure in the U.S., currently working, dates back to 1953. By the way, I posted it in there if that's what you're talking about, private citizen. Yeah, okay, that. Yeah, I'll have to look at this. I'm not that familiar with it, to be honest with you. It's amazing that they've been around that long. I've not heard of them. They date back pretty far, but yeah, we'll take a. So yeah, the short answer is no. Don't know much about it, but it looks interesting.
Yeah, we'll have to look
for sure.
That's a good one.
Yeah, so thanks for sharing that. I appreciate that, private citizen.
Yep.
Butterfly to Grand Rapids, then drive up. Yeah, it could be that too. It's a nice drive up there too. I used to back when I lived there. I used to have a Jeep, which was a lot of fun. I had a hard top for the winter, obviously, and then I put a soft top on. But I used to remember just driving all over Michigan. It's a great state, man. It really is a great state. Awesome people, food, just amazing.
Dude,
cool. I really enjoyed my time.
I had a convertible.
Oh, did you? Yeah. I used to always throw the top down. It was just amazing. I just enjoyed it.
Wintertime, not so much.
Too hot to have one of those. Yeah, not so much. I had a 4-wheel drive Jeep too, which was pretty cool too.
Nice.
Yeah, Grand Rapids has a decent airport. Speaking of sidetracked, Mac, you sort of sidetracked us. We sidetracked ourselves. We got sidetracked, but sometimes that's fun. That's what's great about live streams, man. You don't know where it's going to go.
Yeah, that's
like CKJ always says. I always love when CKJ says, "You never know who's going to show," which is always right. But another one for streamers is you never know where it's going to go, right? You never know what happens or what comes up or what you end up talking about.
No,
which is what I like. What I like about it. But I think this is our second stream together, right? Or is it our third?
Second or third. That might be second.
Who's keeping track, really? I just know it's a lot of fun.
It is, yeah. It's awesome, man.
It's great.
Yeah, Dansky. Oh, by the way, just sorry to cut you off. Dansky said, I already contacted my reps and asked them to support legislation several times. Well, what did they say? I would say keep contacting them. Get a direct connect, someone in the office that you can correspond with on a regular basis is awesome. So if you've contacted them, that's fantastic.
So Anthony Jackson, Ajax, I gotta laugh at this. When I was talking about Mac 31400, he said if you put a 0 point in front of 31499, you get the price of XRP. I love that. I love about Anthony Jackson.
Oh, yeah.
He cracks me up all the time,
Nice.
man. He really does make me laugh out loud. Yeah, I think and it's pretty stable too, right? I mean, it's way more stable than Tether.
Tether, what's that?
Tether's a stable coin, a supposed stable coin, the one that was supposedly backed by US dollar.
I think it's backed by rocks or something like that.
It might be, you know.
They said.
So I have a buddy who's usually the guy that got me into Twitter. He shamed me on Twitter like Chip will not get on Twitter, and he started shaming me. Remember early days of Facebook, and I was like, I finally got on there. So I tried to get him into crypto. I'm like, remember when you shamed me? He goes, no, crypto. He goes, I don't get it. What's it backed by? And I'm like, well, what's the US dollar backed by? Think about it. What's it backed by? Gold. But after 71, once we got off the gold standard, once Nixon, basically ixnayed on that, what do we have, right? So he's like, I'm like, really, what's it backed by? What, and I mean, it's backed by debt. That's for one thing. And it's got tons and tons of debt behind it. But when you start asking the hard questions, then nothing comes out. I'm like, well, ours is backed by utility, right? It actually has a use case and is actually doing something. So, I mean, just because you have an agreement for the petrodollar doesn't make it backed by anything necessarily, right? So I love when people say, what's it backed by? What is any fiat backed by? Is there any fiat out there today that's backed by gold or silver or some precious metal? I mean, anything backed by a central bank.
Rob Cash said it's backed by the U.S. military. Hell yeah, it is. You don't want to accept our dollar. Yes, you will.
That's right, man. Full force, bam, smack you down. That's right. Boy, man. Well said, Rob Cash.
And what was that movie, the South Park guys? America, what was that?
The one where they did the North Korea one.
America, fuck yeah. Remember that?
Yeah. Yeah.
That was a great movie.
I do. Yeah,
sorry, guys,
awesome,
if you guys aren't.
I still love the memes coming off of that too. It's all pretty fun, XRP stablecoin, blah, blah, blah. Get the throat.
Yeah.
True shit, brothers. That's what he's saying.
Yeah.
Rob Cash. Yeah. Well, let's see, man. We've been going officially 2 hours now.
Yeah.
Those last 20 minutes just flew by. So let's.
I think we wrap it up.
Let's wrap this up, man. Let's put a timer on it. Let's knock this down. Let's do it.
That's it. 11 o'clock.
Hey, wait a minute. We can. Organic FUD just came in. Forget it. We got to go another 2 hours.
All right.
Organic FUD. Got to get Organic FUD caught up. No, I'm just.
Yeah. I say we keep it going. Keep it up. See that? Keep it rolling.
Yeah. Brady Niels. Hey, man. Listen, I love this guy's stuff on Twitter too, man. He's everywhere on Twitter. So yeah, it's.
Yeah.
I always stumble into him all over the place, man. The guy's he's crushing it, bringing it pretty hard. Keep it up. I'd like to. I don't know if my voice can. Here's the problem I got, Bradley. I'm gonna just Brady. I should say Bradley. I'm sorry. I was thinking of Bradley's the little pub. Here's the problem I have. Empty. Voice.
Here, do you want some of this?
Scratchy.
I didn't really do too much to it. Started out about there.
Yeah, you didn't do a lot of damage. All I have to do is go grab another. Organic FUD's been lurking. I love to be the lurker. I love to lurk. I love to slide in between.
A private citizen, the clearinghouse, I think, was chosen by PTF over Ripple and their RTP rail. Do they use crypto?
Interesting.
Yep.
Yeah, it's pretty. I mean, it's amazing that they go back so far. How can I never heard of the clearinghouse banks stood steadfast through the Great Depression of 34, 8,000 banks failed. Only one clearinghouse bank was lost during World War II. How have I never heard of this before? Insane.
I know. We need to look into it further. That's interesting
we gotta look
stuff.
into it. Yeah, it is cool. That's what, and again, that's what I talk about. So I talk about people showing up. They bring it. It's like they, aside from the platitudes or the saying hello to everybody, I just love this community. I just think it's amazing, man. It's phenomenal.
Yeah.
Hey, Dansky, thank you for showing up, man. Thank you. Appreciate that. Happy Mother's Day to all the moms out there. I took my mom out earlier for Mother's Day because, it's just easier to get around on a Saturday, right? So Sunday is my wife's Mother's Day, and we'll do stuff with the kids.
Awesome.
Have a nice breakfast. Actually, we're going to go to the beach. We're going to go there at 9:30 in the morning.
Oh, nice.
Hopefully we can. Yeah, I love going to the beach. I mean, I live so close to the ocean, hardly ever go. It's ridiculous.
And I used to go every Sunday, consistent. That's where we were. So we just go Sundays. We're on the beach. But
yeah, so
not
I'm
so
excited
much
about
anymore.
getting there tomorrow.
That's
what happens, man. You know.
I used to go for sunrise every weekend, and I'd bring my son down there. We'd be in the ocean watching the sunrise. That was the best.
Private Citizen said found a rabbit hole in the Faster Payments Task Force report. Yeah, Private Citizen, I hope you're following me on Twitter, and Jeff as well. I'll drop my Twitter in here, but I want to make sure that we're following each other because I like to. If you got anything else to contribute. And again, guys, I say this to everybody. If you whether it's Jeff or myself, if you DM us stuff or tag us in tweets or whatever, stuff that you think is interesting or might show up on a stream, I'll always give a shout out too if you throw something out there, because look, we're just two guys. We can't see everything that's going on out there, right? I mean, it's impossible. There's so much amazing news, and every once in a while, somebody. And this is what I love about Crypto Eddie. She does these deep dives. I'm like, where does she find this stuff? This is amazing. And that's usually my morning. I wake up, turn on, Crypto Eddie, listen to what's going on. And because usually she drops them in the middle of the night, and usually DNI is streaming, like he's got his 24-hour streamathon happening. So I'll check in. I was like, every time I go to a live stream, it's DNI. I'm like, I don't know how yet. Man, I got to take some notes. He's like, he's solid. And, it's nonstop talking.
He's a machine.
He's amazing. He's a machine, man. He's awesome. He's what was that Schwarzenegger thing? What was that? Skynet. It's like Skynet, and then DNI is controlling Skynet with his verbiage and all the underpinnings. I get into some of that kooky stuff too. I don't get into it in my stream, but I love it, man. I'll go on other streams and talk it up.
Man, awesome.
And I know Rain and I are going to do a stream at some point too. We'll probably get into some crazy stuff because there's some bleed over there. So
Yo, what's up with this? What's up with this, Mac? And I think he left. He said, "What's up with India banning crypto and XRP?" And you get all these serious questions as we're trying to wrap up. We could go for like another 2-3 hours with this. Rusty Diamond. Well, where'd it go? Hang on. Rusty Diamond. I don't know if I've ever seen Rusty Diamond on before. I don't know if he where Rusty Diamond came. Also quietly watching. Do I have to stop drinking whiskey if the live stream ends? Great job, guys. Absolutely not. I would never tell you to stop drinking whiskey.
Yeah, I would never say that. That's blasphemous. Who would say that? That's ridiculous. Right. But I'm going to drop my Twitter. I'm going to drop my Twitter in there too, Private Citizen. If we're not following each other, I know I'm following a lot of you folks in here. Pretty much everybody, I believe. Maybe Mac 31400-659-812 Beach. Nice. Peace out. I don't know if I'm following him, but sometimes we don't always have the same names on YouTube as we might have on maybe. Yeah, well, I listen. I don't believe anything that's coming out of India right now. I happen to know somebody that's pretty high up who's works in the United Nations, and also he spent a lot of time over there in India and talking about some of this stuff. So I have a feeling that they're just trying to pull it together. And you're seeing a lot of FUD happening. I know you're saying that they're banning stuff. I just don't buy it. I'm not buying it. It's just not. I don't actually think that that's what we're seeing.
Yeah, I agree with that. I agree with that. I think the people in India also are able to. I'm trying to think of the right word, but they're very exceptional in terms of finding ways around the government. So when I was shipping stuff over there, part of their price calculation had to do with how many people they had to bribe in order to get product through customs. And one of the guys showed me how they calculated their price point, and it was a sizable number of who they had to give money to. And I'm like, seriously, you guys do this stuff? And they're like, yeah, if we give so-and-so money at the port, they'll move stuff through customs, and then we'll give this guy money and we can get it out of customs, and we do all this stuff. And they're used to kind of circumventing the legality. And so with a shutdown of the exchanges, and I had made a video about this, way back when that was happening. It wasn't really that long ago, but and that was one of the things that I was alluding to also, is that the people in India will find their way, and I believe that they're still trading digital asset. I don't believe just obviously the exchange suffered significantly to the point where they shut down, but that's also from India's perspective. This is the problem with controlling governments. Although there's some relative freedoms in India, but in a parliamentary structure, but the government and their central bank don't want to release the hold on their economy, and so that's where they saw a direct threat of digital asset to their economy, and so I think that was really the dynamic in India. Plus, you had mentioned this earlier on, where India was actually getting rid of about 75% of their fiat currency and trying to push their entire population over to pushing them over to a digital currency. And part of that is that though there's a large part of the population that exists strictly in fiat and they don't pay taxes. So, right. And there's about 700 million people in India that live in absolute poverty that exist on fiat, and small numbers. So we're not talking about big numbers. So in order for them to put money in a bank, it's going to probably cost them more money to put their money in the bank than they actually have. And so, India is an interesting dynamic. There's 1.1 or 1.2 billion people in India. Of that number, 700 million are in poverty that you can't imagine. Then you have about 200 million that live in the middle class, and then you have about 300 million that are in the wealthy class. And it's amazing how much wealth in the wealthy segment of India is just unbelievable. I mean, they have so much money over there. It's crazy. But then you balance that out with the poverty, and it's just, it's outlandish. It's amazing. So, but that's the dynamic in India. Plus you have the what do they call it? The different. I don't know. I can't remember the word for it. The caste. You had a caste system there as well, and within the caste system, they're used to having a margin of control because of the caste system, and you kind of belong to a specific segment of society. And so due to that, I think that's also where we're seeing this dynamic of the government and the central bank trying to not regulate, but trying to control the economy. And they're seeing the digital asset as a direct threat coming from, it could even come from the lower segments of the caste system. Although they got rid of the caste, it still exists within society. It's still there. So I think that factors in as well.
Yeah, another sidetrack. I just happened to click over on Twitter, and I was like, I saw Paul McCartney trending, and it's like, I was starting to freak out. I was like, what? And then so everyone's like, Paul McCartney's not dead. Oh my God, my heart sank. Paul McCartney panicked a little when I saw it trending. I'm not sure exactly why it's trending. I think he's touring in the U.S. maybe. But I did see that Peggy. I don't know if that was something that she was in Twin Peaks. She was also on the show called The Mod Squad. She passed away at 72. She was. So I just thought, just break in with that. Frank Vogel was hired as the head coach of the LA Lakers. If you guys are any basketball fans out there, former Pacers, former Orlando.
I like everything.
I also like.
Yeah, go ahead.
I also like the NBA too. So it's like, let's just break in with some. Let's just go in with some nondescript type stuff. But yeah, you're right. I mean, I'm not. Look, I mean, I think India is if they don't get a handle on it, what's going to happen is what happened with the whole, the notes, the fiat notes that they try to crush and they flush out of the system. It just backfired on them and created a bigger black market. If they don't get a handle on this, they're going to suffer, right? And everything's going to suffer. So the cool thing about the blockchain is that you can find out, it is transparent. So if they want to have a taxing authority or be involved in that in some way, shape, or form, the best way to do that is to sort of create some regulation. So I think we will see India do it. But look what happens if let's say something and India is like being out there in the cold or vice versa, India passes something first. This is where I think that fear of missing out type of a scenario will be helpful as other countries, especially like I say with Japan, you know, and especially they're leading the way right now. And, you know, the East is basically leading the West. I mean, and we got to sort of have this comeuppance, right? We got to sort of have our moment, and this is it, guys. So, you know, thank you for having me on tonight, Jeff. I appreciate it. We're entering 2.5 hour territory, but guys, I want to thank everybody that showed up on the stream today. So yeah, good acquisition for the Lakers. I think so. I like Bobo. I think he's a great coach. I think he might be great in that system as well. So Jake Farroud. I don't know. Now that we're gonna talk a little bit. Yeah. Hey. Yeah. Sorry if I'm cutting in and out, guys.
Yeah, that's all right. So yeah, man, there's so much topic here. I think we need to get on another live stream and go through this everything Private Citizen is coming up with, the clearinghouse, and I think that has to do with the Federal Reserve. I was talking about that earlier with the Federal Reserve, and you know, so I don't know if that's the same clearinghouse. You know, the Federal Reserve was working as a clearinghouse as well for real-time payment. So I'm wondering if that is all correlated. And so that's interesting to get more in depth into. But yeah, I think we should probably wrap it up because this has been one long ass stream, and really
awesome.
Appreciate it. It was awesome. No, it's not. Okay, two separate things. Private Citizen. So I got to look into that further. But man, we got people hung in there with us for over 2 hours. And I appreciate everybody. I think it was fantastic.
Wait a minute. Wait, let me just interrupt real quick because Anthony Jackson says, "Can Jake Farad get a quick recap?" Well, I'll tell you what we'll try to do. I'll tell you, Ajax, what we'll try to do. I think we can get a quick recap in 45 to 46 minutes, somewhere in that neighborhood.
Yeah, that would be awesome. Yeah.
AJ, you're too funny, man. Sorry, man. I just had to jump in with that. That was good.
That's funny. I like that. That'd be great. Hey, great pronunciation. Oh man, you got it too.
That's good. What did I say?
I don't try to get.
I lost track of the 1.5 hour mark. Right. Thanks, Wildfire 1063. I think I'm gonna put my new name. It's gonna be called Chip 7489-LMNOP QRSTUB, something like that. I just want to say Wildstar.
Wildstar, but you know what? There could be over 1,000 Wildstars, or 1063 right. Means something there. Could be a birth date. Wildstar 1063.
Well, like you said, Wildstar 1062, and everything underneath it was taken.
That's right. Yes, that's alive. That happens. And then Mac 31400. I mean, there's got to be a reason for that, right?
Sometimes you want to know. Sometimes they don't have to disclose it, but I want to know. Inquiry minds want to know.
See, Crypto birthday.
Says you guys are awesome.
It is.
Here's a big bag of belly buttons for you. I don't know.
Clarice.
Just remove the lint first, thanks. If you remove that lint, it might be more givable. You know what I'm saying? Crypto Seafood. Oh, it's a birthday. Wildfire. Wait a minute, guys. Stop everything.
Hey. It's
been clarified. Wildstar said it's a birthday. There you go.
All right, now, Mac.
All right. Nice.
We'll get through this.
Rob Cash. Thank you for coming, Rob Cash. Rob Cash, I know you go to sleep early during the week, but Tuesdays and Thursdays, I just want Rob Cash on one of my streams. Tuesdays or Thursdays, man. I know you go to bed. I know you're in bed by like 9:30. I still love to have you on there, man.
Yeah, and with us now until 11 o'clock.
Well, it's the weekend, man. It's like, but he's been here the whole time, man.
That's awesome.
Don't call it a comeback. He's been here all the time. He's been here forever, man.
That's awesome.
All right, guys. And let's end this, dude. Let's shorten the time. So wait a minute. Hang on a second. I think it's a good idea. So let's give a quick recap. Just kidding.
From the start.
From the start. So, and all the sidetracked itching mind can't have it. Oh, way too much information. TMI right there.
It's only 10:15 Central Time. No.
Yeah. Well, I got to tell you what I got to do. I need a refill right here.
Yep. Yeah. So, all right, let's wrap it up.
Right,
we'll do this again. It was awesome, man. Thanks for being on. I'm glad we managed to get through with very few technical glitches. Although your head kept blowing up, but
yeah, well,
ego.
That's right, man. Have some tea.
Man, dude, Rob, you got to work at 4:30. Man, check that out.
Oh, you're crazy, man.
Got to work at 4:30, and he's on with us
Oh, man.
until
Much love,
11
Rob. Get some
o'clock,
sleep.
and that's awesome.
Holy
Yeah,
crap. Get some sleep,
thanks
Rob,
everybody for joining on, hanging in there, being on throughout the whole stream, and that's it. I hope you guys. Let's see. Oh, it's today's Saturday. Anyhow,
Peace out, Brady.
Monday night, 10 p.m. Eastern time. Tuesday, 10 p.m. for Chip. So basically, I'm on Monday, Wednesdays, 10 p.m. Chip, Tuesday, Thursdays, 10 p.m. Before that, 9 to 10, you've got DNI. So look forward to seeing you guys on.
And don't forget Rain on Fridays.
Rain on Fridays. Yeah. Yep. Rain Friday, 10 p.m. as well. And last night was fantastic. I really enjoyed that. So
I still got to watch the replay, man. I've just been doing family stuff and kid stuff and all kinds of stuff today.
Yeah, it was awesome. Oh, what is this? We find what crypto TCH uses on the RTP rail. We found the golden egg, and we got to look into that a lot more.
You got to do that, man.
Yeah.
Nice. Thanks for hitting that up.
You should put your QR code for TipBot. All right, Chip, you want to take us out?
That's our take. What's yours? Let us know in the comments below. Chip and Jeff. Oh.